to get started. Again, we have our guest speaker here. He's going to introduce himself and provide us with some insight into the world of autism, as well as answer questions you guys might have.
Oh yeah, that's what I had thought. Hello everybody, how is everybody doing?
Good.
Hey, could you do me a favor and just calm down? Oh gosh.
It's still going.
Still
It was supposed to stop. Now it says it's got 2 minutes.
and
Oh, did you see that?
I can see it now. I found it.
Good. Okay, so yeah, we'll just keep going until then, and then we'll go. 3, 2, 1.
And so yeah, often I just begin with like, are there any questions? I just kind of skip to the end when doing this, you know, because it's like I could just talk and talk. That's how specials, or I guess a counselor who's familiar with autism spectrum disorder, which is Asperger's, was folded into that now. So now I just say I have autism spectrum disorder, but I still call myself an Aspie because it's playful, and that's what some people have as a diagnosis. Anyway, so I had been like talking, and she was like, do you think you may have autism? You know, because that's one of the symptoms.
Something that was talked about, since we got 2 minutes, I'll talk about that training session a little bit. The second question there was, so how do we deal with autistic individuals in a crisis situation? You know, because I was just talking about myself, and I was getting around to discussing that, but this officer just jumped right to it, which was great. And I thanked him for the question. And I had said, well, probably assess the level of support that person needs.
And so with that, this brain that I've got doesn't know what emotional state it's in, ever, okay? And it really doesn't have a concrete sense of self. Like I don't have a me, perhaps like neurotypicals or typical people have a me or a you. You know? And so when asked questions, kind of like, what do I want? Oh golly, does that frustrate some people? When they ask me, what do I want? And I was like, I don't even know what that is.
I'm a level 1. It seems like you're a level 1 too. We don't need
I don't know where the numbers are, but they say that I'm high functioning.
Yep. Oh, I brought that up too, because you hear high functioning, and I'll say it's like they're talking about microwaves or dishwashers.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that term. That's just what I've been labeled with. But yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to be offended by it, but I just say it's like we're not microwaves and dishwashers. You know, we're people.
Yep.
I suppose what I do have to overcome sometimes is some people perhaps being confused by the way, I appear to be difficult or non-compliant because I'm not having the same emotional experience they are. I don't really, I tell people I have a complicated relationship with the emotions that I've got, as if it's like a Facebook friend or something like that. It's complicated, you know? You know, they're somewhere in there, but I have to, and I'm being figurative now, swim through this river of sensory input to get to them sometimes.
And so I did look up, like there are basically like 3 levels of support needed. We're about level 1, I do believe. We don't need a lot of support, okay?
I was at a certain level where it looked like I was just like every other person, I suppose on the outside, but internally or intrinsically, very, very different. You know? And now I talk about it all the time. And
now we do need questions answered every once in a while. We do need accommodations made here and there. But on the whole, you know, we can live in our own apartments. We can take care of our own, can have our own jobs, you know. We don't need a lot of staff around us all the time.
But this brain is pretty much in a constant state of unreality, or it's like a dream, because it just doesn't know, it's not really, I was about to say grounded, but it's not as, I guess, connected to everything, perhaps, sensorily, something like that. And I could go into the specifics, but and so that affords me a kind of freedom to be sort of silly like this while a whole bunch of people are staring at me. I can just be kind of like, hey, because it's, you know, it seems like it's a dream, you know. And so be aware of that if you're dealing with some individuals on the spectrum in very difficult sort of circumstances or complex ones. You know, for them, they may see it as like a movie or like a video game. And perhaps for a certain generation, that's all they've known is movies and video games.
And so I'd say, if you're dealing with that sort of person, just be very, very patient.
Yep.
You know, be very, very patient. Realize there's going to be like stimming behavior, anxiety, probably induced sort of behavior, you know, something that's not going to make sense to you. And just, you know, gently try and bring the person back to kind of what's going on.
Yeah. Explain things calmly and clearly and answer questions. Yeah.
Just because I'm not aware of something now doesn't mean I won't be aware of it later. How long am I supposed to go?
11:30, 11:45.
Oh, really? Okay. I can go for the rest of the day. I tell people I can talk your face off, you know? So hopefully this is helpful. Is this helpful, what I'm talking about? Would you have a question?
And then, if it's a level 3 individual, that person's probably not speaking, probably not doing too much because they need a lot of support. So that was very, very helpful for that officer. And I explained so much more.
Sometimes, when something's so subtle or nuanced, it'd be great to have like a social cue buddy, or a neuroatypical individual to be like, she's flirting with you. Because I've been in so many situations like that. A woman will buy me a drink. I'm like, thank you. And she's like, and she'll hang around me. I'm like, what's going on now? And she'll shout at me, I'm flirting with you. I'm like, that's great. How's it going? And then later we'll chat. I often just become friends with people. I think that's very, very healthy, just to become friends, because romance is, oh goodness, that's another like 3, 4, 5 hours, right?
Okay, so it looks like it's less than a minute. It says less than a minute left.
It's like a countdown to a rocket launch or something. That's what I thought of.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh no.
Yep. It's just going to shut off. It doesn't say, it's not counting down.
The one situation I was in, I have to say this because it's just so, I imagine it's very, very funny. So yes, this woman invited me over to her home, and she's getting touchy, kind of like, just kind of, hello, you came over, that sort of thing. And coquettish, I guess she was being coquettish, and as I'd been told later, very obvious that she's, sending out the signals. But I'm sitting there kind of like, are we going to have food? Is that what we're going to do? And then she sat next to me. She put her face, she was getting very closer. And so I said, out loud, why are you putting your face next to my face? And she's like, I'm going to kiss you. I was like, oh, okay. So that's romance for someone on the spectrum. So again, do be patient with someone in a very trying and a very complicated sort of moment.
I've got that counting. Gosh, is it going to? It would be 3, 2.
Before I was just about to talk about being different, are there any other questions?
What's the hardest part for you?
Gosh, I gotta be careful with this. Because people's lives are busy ones, and they have priorities, and they don't have to really understand a lot about what it's like to have a disorder. Or, gosh, because when I talk about want, when I talk about what want, how I don't understand what want is with neurotypicals, here's an example. One had said, like, it really frustrates me that you won't tell me what you want. And it's like, they think it's intentional. And it's like, I don't know how, I don't do that. It's like you're asking a visually impaired person to tell you what the sunset looks like. They can't see it when they can't, observe it the way you can, and then you're demanding that they tell you. It's like, they're saying, I can't see it. Tell me what it looks like. I can't see it, and it's like, so those, I guess that would be the hardest part to answer your question. Those moments for some people, because it's so new or because it's so different, there's a lot of friction.